Hello peoples, this is Sonic782 and welcome back to another impressions video. So in this impression video, I know I'm about 2 weeks late, but I have my reasons. One thing, I had to record the Hyrule Warriors LP, which should be ending the day I post the video, I believe. Next reason, Smash Bros. So yeah, just Smash. That's another reason. Another reason, school. I had to study for some stuff. But now that I pretty much have a 3-day weekend, might as well record this impression video because better late than never, I suppose. So, in this impression video, I'm going to be talking about the newly released Lord of the Rings game, Shadow of Mordor. So, Shadow of Mordor, I remember it was about a good 2 years ago when the first Hobbit film was going to be released when I was reading a Game Informer. And I saw an article about it, Shadow of Mordor. I was like, ooh, cool, because at that point I watched all 3 Lord of the Rings movies. I saw the first Hobbit movie, which was but, I was excited for it because, I like Lord of the Rings. It's a really good film series, and I recommend watching if you haven't. So, I got excited for when I heard about them making a new game for next gen, as well as current gen, which was PS3, Xbox 360 at the time. But, yeah. So, I saw some trailers at E3 that year, or, well, the next 2 years. I caught some trailers, and now 2 weeks ago on September 30th, 2014, we got the game, and what do I have to say about it? Well, this is what I'm going to be getting at. So, story. So, it follows a guy named Talion. I believe his name is Talion, I really forgot, but yeah. He was some guy who, oh yeah, you just heard my uvu ring in the background, sorry. But yeah, he's some guy who lost his child and wife, and he was killed himself, but he was resurrected as a wraith. If you don't know what a wraith is, I believe wraiths are basically beings who come back from the dead who are in search of the ring, except he's not he doesn't look for the ring. I don't think the ring is even mentioned once in the game. Well, I haven't beat it yet, so yeah, spoilers. I haven't beat the game yet, so I'm just giving my impressions. Like, it's literally like a first impressions thing. So that happens. So Talion has to go all around Mordor to find out who killed his wife and child, and he befriends some other guy. He befriends an orc who is like a complete wimp. His name is Ratbag. Yeah, there's an orc named Ratbag. And he meets Gollum. Yeah, he finds Gollum in Mordor. So, yeah, there's some interesting things with Gollum. But other than that, that's really the story. I haven't really gone too far to tell you, like, supporting characters, what happens at the end, even though I don't really do that. But, yeah, so that's really the story for Shadow of Mordor. I mean, it's kind of surprising, though, because normally stories that involve, like, Peter Jackson's, like, Lord of the Rings, they are very intuitive and have, like, a lot of subplots, character development, stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, so far from what I see, it isn't really that, how would you say, full, like, okay, I can't explain it, but it isn't too plot heavy, I would say. Like, it's so simple. You die, get resurrected, find out who killed your family, yada, 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 go around Mordor, and you're done. So, yeah, it's really the story. Now, gameplay. Now, this is where a lot of the criticisms for me that I hear come from it. Because people say that it looks like Assassin's Creed, and people say it looks like Arkham City, or the Batman Arkham games. Personally, I think it's a mix between both of them. Because the combat is really, 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 how should I say, repetitive. And that's really the simplest way I could put it. The combat is very repetitive. It just amounts you to mash the square button with the occasional triangle prompts that help you block. Later on, you do get combos. Like, you can perform executions whenever you achieve a certain amount of combo. You can use a thing called a Wraith Flash where you blind every enemy in the vicinity. But yeah. So getting back to main focus of combat. So you press X to do just attack. You press triangle to block whenever an enemy's about to swing at you. And that's really the combat could get. I mean, it has sort of the rhythmic time as the Batman Arkham games, but also has the repetitive of the Assassin's Creed series. But to be honest, like I said, it gets repetitive. But when you do upgrade your character more, you do earn these other combos, and if you pull them off really good, the combat could be very satisfying. I mean, hell, you can go up against an army of orcs. I swear, I've done that a few times. It's really amazing just how powerful you could feel when, in the combat. Because since the combat is repetitive, since the combat is repetitive like the AC series, you could take out entire enemies of orcs. But it isn't as, how would you say, easy as Assassin's Creed because you can die. Hence the Batman Arkham feel. But yeah, that's really the combat in a nutshell. It's repetitive, but it isn't too bad. It's like the Assassin's Creed gameplay, but yeah, it has that Batman Arkham feel. But it isn't as fun as the Arkham games. That's the simple way I could put it. So, gameplay out of the way. Now, how about the world you explore? So, you explore Mordor, and I believe the second part of Mordor, because I really forgot I just made it there yesterday. So, the world map. So, you could when you first enter Mordor, you can only explore this inside the mountain range. So you could explore all the orc bases inside the mountain range. And to be honest, as when I first got into the world, within the first hour, I believe I already pretty much conquered the entire world. So yeah, the first place you go to is terribly small. It's horrifically small. I swear, what's it called? I was able to travel from one end of the world to the other end within, I'd say, a good 5 minutes, probably even three. So that's kind of bad though, especially since this game is like for next gen. I mean, for next gen, I expect the worlds to be huge, like worlds they couldn't do back in the last gen. But I mean, this world's pretty small. I mean, then again, you do explore a second part of Mordor. But then again, why couldn't you explore that from the get-go? I mean, hell, they should merge the two worlds together. And then if you explore too far out, that would have been your fault for being too explorative. So you had to get stronger, and then you could explore more out. But I mean, they kind of just split the two worlds. I mean, hell, the second place you explore isn't really even that bad. I mean, it's more beautiful, but the enemies, they don't really put up that much of a challenge still. I mean, I was able to get by the second area pretty much just fine. So yeah, that's really it for the world. I mean, the world does look kind of bleak though because there's like a lot of rocks. There's slaves. There's some orc camps, but then again, it's Mordor, so what do you expect? It's gonna be dirty and murky around there. So yeah, so the main enemy you're gonna be fighting around is orcs. You could go to their outpost. You could kill some orcs, but yeah. But the main selling point of the game, the one thing that this game does different than any other game, is the nemesis system. So basically, the nemesis system is you have an entire army of. It's called Sauron's army. If you don't know who Sauron is, he's the main baddie of the Lord of the Rings series. So it's called Sauron's army. So you have orc statuses, between like the orc war chiefs and leaders. So you have the first line of orcs, which are pretty much the weaklings. Then, if they kill you, they get promoted, and they keep killing you. They get promoted until they're war chiefs. War chiefs are pretty much the main thread of the game. So they have like their own mission devoted to them. Oh, before anything, let me get into the mission types. So there's a few mission types. There's the main story missions where you do some mundane task around Mordor. There's outcast missions where around the world you'll basically find slaves that are being tormented by orcs. If you kill the orcs that are tormenting the slaves, you will get an outcast mission, which basically is just saving more slaves. And you do get weapon missions. Basically, what weapon missions are is that you do a certain, you say you kill a certain amount of orcs with a weapon, or you defend some kind of structure from orc invasions. Your weapon will get upgraded, and basically, yeah, that's pretty much weapon missions, and that's pretty much it. Also, you can find like artifacts that reveal more about Mordor's history, or like the Wraith's history, and you could also find these inscriptions on the wall which form like this little pillar thing. I don't even know. I haven't done that yet. So yeah, it's mainly the thing. So, yeah, getting back to what I was saying before. So yeah, so there's leaders and war chiefs for the orc army. So say one orc leader you could get could be. I remember I got this one called Rutbag the Poet. Yeah, I'm just saying this right now. The orc names could be some of the weirdest stuffs you'll ever find. I once found a guy his name was like Ruttuck the Lover. So yeah, that's how weird the names could get. So say you have one called Rutbag the Poet. He could be on the front lines, which basically means that he's pretty much sucks. If he kills you, he will get promoted. He will go up a line, which means that he becomes more stronger. Every time he kills you, he gets more stronger until he's on the podiums, which basically means war chief status. So when he becomes a war chief, you have to pretty much have this whole entire plot to kill Rutbag. And if you do that, then that war chief is eliminated, and then another orc has a chance of taking his spot. So it's a really interesting system, but it does have its faults. So say you go up against a leader. Now I'm talking about like a war chief. I'm just talking about like a regular orc leader. You could be fighting him, and all of a sudden another orc leader runs up from out of nowhere and challenges you. Then you have two of them to face. Then a third one comes out of nowhere, and you have three of them to face. And especially if you're taking out a war chief, there could be multiple of them. So yeah, that's mainly where it falls flat. That they could just pop out of complete and utter nowhere. But it isn't really that bad. And plus it's also kind of interesting though, because every orc has their own specific randomly generated name. And it really does make the world feel alive though, because you had like the regular mooks, but then you had the leaders. And hell, even if a mook kills you, he will get his own name, and he will have a status in Sauron's army. So, it is a very interesting system. But I do think that it could have been handled a little bit better with, with the leaders just popping out of complete nowhere. I thought it could have been a lot more, how would you say, well handled. But yeah, other than that, that's the Nemesis system. So it's kind of really cool though. And plus, the cool thing is that what's it called? If you don't end up killing like a war chief or a leader, you can face them later. And what's it called? You can face them later. And plus, whatever you did to them, like say you shot him in the eye with an arrow, it will stay behind, and he will scold you for that, and will become more stronger and grow a hatred towards you. And hell, I forgot I mentioned that every leader and war chief has their own strengths and weaknesses. So say one of them could be afraid of the monsters that roam around Mordor. If you release one, that leader or war chief will get scared, and you will have a better chance of killing him. It's a cool thing. And say like what's it called? One of them hates fire. So say you set one on fire by accident, he gets a hatred for you, and he becomes more powerful. So it's those little things that make the world feel a lot more livelier. And plus, I forgot to mention one thing. Sometimes leaders and hell even regular mook orcs will have like little green will have like a green shadow on them. That means you gain intel on them. What's intel? Well, it's kind of obvious, but for those of you guys who don't know, if you interrogate one by pressing R1 and grabbing onto them, and you gain intel from them, you could gain intel on war chiefs and leaders, which means that you have a better understanding of your enemy and that you won't pretty much be blindsided, which is one thing I recommend you doing, getting intel before you go after a leader, or especially a war chief. So, yeah, that's mainly for the Nemesis system, I would say. So, yeah, pretty much it. And what? Oh, yeah, I forgot to talk about the upgrade system. So, whatever you do, whether it's picking flowers or the flora fauna around Mordor, killing enemies, finishing missions, you will gain EXP, which you could use that EXP to earn skill points, which you could use skill points. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, I gotta drink water first. Wait, just give me a second. That was single water. But yeah, you can use the skill points to upgrade your character. So, upgrades can range from, how would you say, like new actions, upgrades to existing actions, stuff like that. But then there's the extra points. I forgot. They have a name for them, but I forgot what they're called. Let's just call them Mordor points for now. So yeah, whenever you complete a mission, or you will get a Mordor point. You'll get like multiple Mordor points. You could use the Mordor points to upgrade weapon attributes and character attributes. So you could use them to upgrade the character's health, focus time. Oh, I forgot again to focus. So yeah, focus basically whenever you're using a bow and arrow is basically a slowdown time. So you can be precise with your arrow shots. Think of it as what's a good example for that? I can't think of it. I can't think of an example off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it'll come to me. But think of it as Zanbatsu mode from Metal Gear Rising, where time slows down. You can be really precise with your slices. It's the same thing for what's it called? Focus with the arrow. So you could be more precise with arrow shots. So you can upgrade focus, and then you can upgrade runes on the weapon. What are runes exactly? Runes are basically upgrades for your sword, bow and arrow, and dagger. How do you get runes? Killing leaders and war chiefs. So whenever you kill a leader or war chief, like a little, how would you say, a hologram pops up, and it will have, say, a sword, a dagger, or bow and arrow. If you collect it, that's a rune. Runes basically give your weapons attributes. So say one rune could give you you could regain focus for every arrow shot for every mook you headshot with an arrow with. Another one could be your weapon gets stronger whenever you reach a certain amount of combo. It could be stuff like that. So you can upgrade the rune count using the Mordor points, so you can have more runes on the weapons. I believe you can have like a total of like 5 runes on the weapon. So yeah, there's that, and yeah, so there's weapons, runes, stuff like that. Yeah, now the graphics and presentation. The voice acting is really good. I'm not gonna lie. Andy Serkis does come back as Gollum, and the times you do see him, that Andy Serkis gives on a really, really good Gollum performance. The other voice acting is really good, but the graphics, this is where I find it pretty hit and miss. I think Mordor's graphics, even though it's murky, I still think it does portray Mordor in a really good way. But when it comes to like the character models, I think the character models do look a little bit muddy, and especially since it's like a next gen game, which they could have easily done like on the PS3 and 360, which kind of makes me wonder why the 360 and PS3 version got delayed. Because I mean, this game does look like something that came out like last gen, and yet it got delayed. Whatever though. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The second part of Mordor, when you start seeing like grassy areas and stuff like that, it looks pretty damn beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. I just stood over the sunset just a little bit, just watching what's it called, the birds fly and the water flow. It was really beautiful. Not gonna lie. But other than that, yeah, that's really it. The Shadows of Mordor so far what I played. I mean, my final impressions, I would say. This game is fun. It really is fun. I've had a lot of fun playing this game. I forgot to mention something. You could also what's it called? You could also dominate what's it called? Like little like animals that roam around Mordor, and you could ride them around Mordor, which is kind of stupid because the map is small as it is. So, but yeah, that's a little like neat option. So yeah, my final thoughts on Mordor, Shadows of Mordor. I think it's a fun game, but I will admit though it does get very repetitive though, and is this game for like casual gamers just for itself? I'm gonna say because I mean this game is fun, but if I were you, watch the Lord of the Rings movies like all of them because the last Hobbit movie is coming out at the end of 2014. I believe it's called The War of Five Armies. I believe I forgot. But yeah, I would watch the Hobbit movies and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, especially the Lord of the Rings trilogy because those are de facto movies. But if I were you, watch those movies first, and then if you really, really want to get buy Shadows of Mordor, then buy it. Other than that, if you have not watched any of the movies or you're not a fan of the series itself, or read any of the books, I should say, then you're probably not going to find a lot of enjoyment out of this. I mean, the combat system could be fun if you do upgrade your character a lot, and not gonna lie, the combos do look very flashy, but other than that, this game it's eh. I mean, probably when I finish it, I'll get more what's it called? I'll have more opinions on it. But from what I played, it's fun, but it's something that won't hold me over for a very long time. I mean, I'll probably finish it once and then I'll pick it up a few years later if I'm feeling really, really bored. But yeah, I think this game is okay. It's just really okay. It's not perfect. It's not the reason to buy next gen because at this point I do not see a single reason why to buy next gen at this point. But yeah, if I were you, just wait until the price goes down. It's like $40-$50, then buy it. But if you're a big Lord of the Rings fan, then buy it, or you probably already bought it. But I don't know. If you think my opinions are BS, then go right ahead, buy the game, even if you're not a Lord of the Rings fan. But yeah. So that's really it for Shadows of Mordor. If you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, do what you want, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. So peace out, peoples, and bye-bye. And you know, I forgot about another main selling point of Shadows of Mordor: the stealth. Yeah, the stealth is pretty good though. There were a lot of tense moments though, but other than that, the stealth is really just stealth. I mean, you goof, and you get attacked by a lot of guys. So yeah, forgot I mentioned that before. But yeah, stealth is pretty fun though. I mean, I still think that it does borrow from the Batman Arkham games, I'm not gonna lie, and plus the Assassin's Creed series. But yeah, so the stealth is stealth. Huzzah! Yay!